You are now going to hear about a civil lawsuit. In a civil lawsuit, the plaintiff sues the defendant as a result of a loss due to the defendant's actions. The plaintiffs seek monetary damages as a result of this loss. The plaintiffs in this lawsuit are the estate of deceased 4-year-old Alias Rincon, Alias's father, Marcelino Rincon, and Alias's mother, Michelle Mata. Marcelino and Michelle are suing for the loss of their child and also on behalf of Alias's estate. The defendant in this lawsuit is High Point Village Apartments. In February 2015, Marcelino and Michelle occupied an apartment at High Point after the tenant left before her lease expired. They did not sign a lease. They paid rent with money orders but fell behind by 2 months. High Point prepared a notice of eviction for non-payment of rent and for being unauthorized occupants, but did not serve the notice because of the accident that made the basis of this lawsuit. You'll be watching a video that will give you details about this dispute. After viewing this video, you will be asked a few questions about your opinions of this lawsuit. This is a premises liability and wrongful death lawsuit. On May 26, 2015, 4-year-old Alias Rincon was outside playing with other children without adult supervision. Around 3 p.m., a neighbor witnessed Alias's father, Marcelino, calling for Alias, but Alias did not return home. At approximately 7 p.m., Alias and another boy went to a set of 4 air conditioning or AC units located behind the apartment building. Alias ran behind the AC units, tripped and fell. As he fell, he grabbed a wire of an exposed capacitor box in the back of an AC unit and was electrocuted. The other boy heard Alias say ow and saw sparks fly. Marcelino, Alias's father, was notified and arrived at the scene and began CPR. The other adult neighbors assisted with CPR. One neighbor who was trained in CPR got Alias to take a few breaths. He opened his eyes, which then rolled back in his head. He never spoke. The EMS arrived and continued efforts, but ultimately pronounced death at the scene at 8:32 p.m. The cover to the AC capacitor, which electrocuted Alias, was not attached at the time of the incident. The cover requires a tool, such as a screwdriver, to remove. According to a High Point Village maintenance man, children around the complex would frequently play at the AC units. The children would remove the AC covers and throw them in the adjacent lawn. The maintenance man had to replace the covers to the AC units on at least 3 separate occasions in the 2 months prior to the accident. He most recently replaced the cover 1 week prior to the accident. He testified that he inspected the AC units at least once a day during his morning walks through the complex to see if the covers were removed. He inspected the morning of the accident. The High Point Village maintenance man also took a video of children playing around the AC units approximately 1 month prior to the accident. High Point Village management called the tenants whose children were in the video to instruct the parents that it was dangerous to play around AC units and to supervise their children. Management did not call the parents of Alias because he was not in the video. Alias's estate claims that High Point Village caused the death of Alias Rincon for failure to properly maintain the AC unit and keep their premises safe. Alias's estate argues that 1. Exposed wires on the AC unit caused an unreasonable risk of harm. 2. High Point Village knew of the exposed wires. And 3. High Point Village failed to exercise ordinary care to protect Alias from this danger. 4. High Point knew the risk of missing AC panel covers and failed to warn Alias's parents. The estate of Alias Rincon contends that High Point Village was on notice that the AC covers had been taken off before the accident because the covers had been removed by children in the past. High Point Village could have easily placed a fence blocking access points to children. This would have prevented the death of Alias Rincon. Alias's estate further argues that High Point Village has had a history of complaints regarding exposed wiring on AC units. In 2011, there were 2 complaints of exposed wiring, one on an AC unit and one on the breaker box of an AC unit. The City of Austin Code Department investigated both complaints. In addition, Alias's estate argues that after the accident, the City of Austin Code Enforcement Division inspected the unit involved in the accident and issued a warning to High Point. The city also inspected all the AC units at the complex and found several that had exposed wiring of breaker boxes. The city issued notice of code violation and required High Point to use a licensed electrician to correct the breaker boxes instead of their maintenance men. High Point Village disagrees that there had been a history of complaints regarding exposed wiring. In 2011, High Point Village repaired the breaker box and no exposed wiring was seen on the other unit. The City of Austin Code Department found no violations during its 2 investigations. High Point Village also argues that management took active steps to ensure the safety of children on their premises. High Point Village 1 reapplied the 2 screws that secured the AC covers immediately after discovering that the covers were removed. 2. Called the parents of the children playing by the AC units to warn them of the danger and their children's behavior. And 3. Check the AC units daily to identify and correct any dangerous conditions. High Point Village reasons that the cover must have been removed by unsupervised children sometime during the day of the accident because it was checked that morning. As a matter of law, Elias cannot be held responsible for the accident because he was 4. Elias's estate may recover for the reasonable cost of funeral expenses and for the physical pain and mental anguish suffered by Elias before his death. There is testimony that Elias was semi-conscious, vomited, and opened his eyes prior to his death. Therefore, Elias suffered some conscious physical pain and mental anguish. A small service was provided for Elias at Angel Funeral Home in Austin, Texas. Marcelino Rincon and Michelle Mata may recover damages for the death of their son, for loss of companionship in society, and mental anguish from the death of their son. Marcelino Rincon and Michelle Mata also assert that the conduct of High Point is more than ordinary negligence. It is gross negligence, which entitles them to have punitive damages awarded against High Point. High Point argues that testimony from neighbors reveals that Marcelino and Michelle did not adequately supervise their children. Elias was often seen without adult supervision around the apartment complex. Elias's 2-year-old sister was once found wandering the parking lot without an adult. A High Point Village maintenance worker testified that he had found Elias on 3 separate occasions in the apartment pool without his parents. On one occasion, Elias got in the pool even though it was fenced and the gate was locked. The maintenance man confronted Marcelino and Michelle about their lack of supervision. There is testimony that the relationship between Marcelino and Michelle was abusive and that there were complaints from neighbors of domestic violence. Neighbors think Marcelino and Michelle were too busy fighting to supervise their children. Furthermore, Marcelino is a convicted felon. He has been convicted of resisting arrest and assault to a family member.